That Night of Trance is a film exploring how black, woke young women are facing challenges of identity crises. Its exhibition is part of the collaboration between the South African State Theatre and the Ster-Kinekor theatres to screen theatre productions in cinema. Directed by award-winning playwright and director and founder of Olive 3 Theatre, Ntshieng Mokgoro, and she joins us now this morning to share more on the film. Ntshieng, a very good morning to you. Thanks indeed for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Simpiwe, and thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Ntshieng, do share with us a synopsis of the film. What is this film all about?
Well, That Night of Trance is about a young girl, a well-learned young girl who's struggling with identity crisis. Her living in both worlds, both separate worlds, in the city life, and then also having been raised by her grandmother in the rural areas. To top it all, also she realizes and discovers that she has a calling, which is something that she sees it as a barbaric thing. So she is struggling with whether to heed the call or whether to continue and pursue her studies and become what she wants to be.
Okay, when you talk of an identity crisis, to what extent is this crisis? And just give us a bit more information on the kind of challenge that she faces with regards to her identity.
Well, being a young girl and being raised by a grandmother in the rural areas, in Sikosa they will call it as Lalini. And then she went to school, from boarding school. She was in what you call now Model C schools. And there she wanted to fit in because now she didn't have everything that all the kids have in the schools. As time goes on, as she grows up, eventually she manages to fit in, as in, having to buy weaves and stuff like that, and having to do manicures and having to to be able to twang. That's the right way to put it. To be able to twang. But when going back home, now she struggles to fit in back home because now she doesn't look like all the girls in her age. Having to go and fetch water from the river becomes a struggle, and having to clean the house. Now it's a struggle because she has manicures and stuff like that. So it goes to that extent. And also that she now thinks that she has progressed in life and the rural life is not her lifestyle anymore.
And I suppose that is a challenge that is faced by so many young South Africans because, being catapulted to a soft life, if I were to call it that, a soft life, living in the cities and using and twanging, as you've just mentioned, and attending these so-called Model C schools, they tend to forget where they come from. They tend to forget who they really are and adopting a lifestyle that they don't know of. And I suppose, so many South African parents, as it were, can also resonate with this particular, storyline. So is that what you intended it to be, so that so many people can strike a resonance with it? Exactly
my point is that it doesn't matter how well-learned we are. It doesn't matter how many qualifications we get. We still need not to forget who we are. We still need not to forget our root, where we come from, and the rituals that are performed, because sometimes if we don't do these rituals, then we are troubled in a later stage. All the children that we give birth to might struggle because of us.
Now, Ntshieng, how different is this play compared to the first time it was screened back in 2017?
Well, it's not that different. At 2017, when we did the play, it was basically focusing on the struggles between the two worlds, how women in the rural areas live and survive, and how women in the cities live and survive. So we tried to bridge the two. So in this case, the development is that, in terms of the story, is that now it becomes one person who lives in these two totally different worlds. Now, but what we are saying with the story is that there is nothing wrong to be learned. You go out and acquire the skills and acquire the knowledge,
yes.
and so that you can come back to the rural places to develop them and contribute with your knowledge, so that you are not the only one who progresses in life,
sure.
but the whole community gain something from you being learned.
All right. Now, Ntshieng composed the music. So what kind of role and emotion does the music play in this film?
Oh, wow. Ntshieng being Ntshieng, I mean, he is so talented. I think the whole music that he composed and directed as well, it carries the story through. You know, it's more musical rather than having a lot of dialogue. And it carries through every single scene, and also with the character. So it sort of heightens everything that is in the play.
Okay. And I understand that you co-wrote the film with Billy Langa. Talk to us about how working with this award-winning theatre maker is like.
Oh man, Billy Langa, such a humble soul, such a gifted, talented, humble soul. He's such a good performer. He's also performing in the play. And when I saw Billy in action, I've known Billy as a student, Sakumake Theatre Lab. So I saw him in one of his productions, Li Mahlaji. He was performing Tswalo there. And I was moved, I was touched by his performance. And then I spoke to him after the show, and I sort of like said, one day I would like to work with you. And when the opportunity came, and he also jumped into the opportunities. And the dialogue, the storyline, we had the storyline already, but the dialogue, how he writes very poetically, which, resonates very well with the story. So I'm actually excited to have worked with him and would like to do so more.
Yeah. And please explain the exhibition part of the collaboration.
The exhibition part of the collaboration?
Yes.
Say that again? Please
explain the exhibition part of this collaboration.
You mean with the Ster-Kinekor?
Yes.
Sustain the Ster-Kinekor. For me, the interesting thing about the partnership and all of this between the Ster-Kinekor and the State Theatre is that I think we are gunning for more audience, that we could be, production could be seen at the theatres, and it gives our audience and the moviegoers an opportunity to choose whether they want to watch productions on the screen or whether they want to watch it on the stage. And of course, it's still a new thing. People are still not used to it. But when we went there on the opening night on Friday, people they could relate, to what was happening on the screen. But one note that I got from one lady was like, I wanted to see these people live. I wanted to touch them after the show, meaning the actors, so that because I had goosebumps sitting just in the cinema. What more if I see them live? But I think when time progresses and this partnership continues, we will be given an opportunity to also capture this the right way, because now it's a live recorded production which is being screened. Of course, there are technical issues that have been taken care of.
All right, Ntshieng, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right,
thank you. That Night of Trance follows a spiritually gifted young woman, Pulane, whose life takes a sharp turn after an ancestral calling. She's caught between the city life and heeding the call. We just spoke to playwright and director and the founder of Olive 3 Theatre, Ntshieng Mokgoro.